friends, welcome back. This is the final episode of our 6-year mini series anniversary. And if you made it this far, well, story isn't just about where I came from or what broke me, it's about what I did with the broken pieces. So, this mini series I've dedicated to you listening right now, wherever you are in your own becoming journey. To all of you listeners, whether you've been with me since episode 1 or you just literally press play for the very first time right now. And then to my past self, and to every woman and man out there that have been told that they're either too much, too loud, too strong, too soft, too technical, too tender, to whatever it is that it was, you fill in the blank. The story is for you. This chapter, Iron and Ashes, doesn't begin with a championship. It begins with depletion. It begins with grief. It begins with the lowest I've ever been and where I had to crawl my way back up from. It begins with a body and a heart that had nothing left, and with a quiet but stubborn decision to take it all, grief, rage, silence, survival, and turn it into strength. Not metaphorical kind of strength, but actual, measurable, muscle bound strength. This chapter is about what happened when I stopped running and I started lifting. It's about reclaiming a body I once tried to disappear inside. It's about ritual, it's about discipline, it's about focus, fuel, fire. It's about learning to stay. So, with that, let's begin.
Welcome to the Events Demystified podcast, where we demystify the world of in-person, virtual, and hybrid events, AV production, and AI technology by sharing practical tips, tricks, and strategies to help your event succeed. This podcast is brought to you by Events, a woman-owned boutique event production agency that caters to event professionals, small business owners, and entrepreneurs. We specialize in AV and AI education, integration, automation, and implementation, all based on our Fit4Events Framework, which focuses on futuristic AV production, innovative AI technology, thriving audiences, and empowering behind-the-scenes teams. And I'm your host, Anca with over 2 decades of hands-on experience in event production, event management, and now AI technologies and cybersecurity.
The broken pieces sometimes become the very foundation for something stronger. That's the thought that runs through my mind as I catch a glimpse of myself in the gym mirror, muscle defined in ways I never imagined possible at 43, preparing for my 3rd bodybuilding competition. The woman staring back barely resembles the one who stood in front of a different mirror in 2020, shattered and unrecognizable to herself. At the writing of this chapter, I'm about 2 weeks away from stepping on stage and a few days from peak week. And every single day, I'm feeling more tired and more mentally exhausted. My creative edge is almost gone, burned away in the process of getting stage lean. I share this raw truth now, so when I return to this page, I'll remember exactly what the season felt like, how each day grew harder than the previous one, how the grinding persistence required every ounce of my will. It's not an excuse to stop. It's a testament to continue even when every fiber screams to stop and to rest. I still need to lose about 2% of body fat and carve more definition, especially my glutes. So I'm grinding in, grinding out every single day. I'm strength training 60 minutes, 6 days a week, doing 120 to 150 minutes of cardio 7 days a week, posing 30 minutes a day, 7 days a week as well. This is not a casual commitment. It's a full-time focus stacked on top of life, of running partnerships, business, leading AI technology strategy, building training frameworks, and traveling and speaking at events, running the production of several other events, all the while being present for my team and my family and my kids. That's the plan for the next 2.5 weeks. I know I can do it, and I will. It's hard to explain to those who haven't lived it, this voluntary suffering, this deliberate dismantling and rebuilding of self. People see the stage photos, the flex muscles gleaming under the competition lights, but they don't see the 4 a.m. alarm clocks to get your cardio session in, even as your body begs for more sleep. They don't witness the meticulous measuring of chicken breast, calculating macros down to the gram. They don't feel the trembling exhaustion after leg day when climbing stairs becomes an exercise in managing pain. They don't understand the mental fog of caloric restriction when you're trying to lead a client meeting but your brain feels wrapped cotton. They just see the results. They never witness the ruins from which those results rose. And those ruins are precisely where my strength was forged because I believe in breaking down and building back together, stronger this time. Traveling for work during prep hits differently. You're navigating airport food with a food scale in your carry-on, finding a gym before you even check into your hotel, waking up at 5 a.m. to get cardio in before that client meeting or the conference kickoff, or stepping on stage to speak, or calling the show from behind the scenes. Bringing your own meals with you because you can trust the fatty, carb-loaded meals that will be provided. And yes, working out in some meager hotel gyms that have little to none of the equipment that your weightlifting programming is built on, and practicing posing in a hotel mirror with horrible lighting and zero angles. This isn't a vacation. This is discipline in motion. Prep doesn't pause just because the scenery changes or because it's too hard. Some days, I want to crawl back under the covers. I want to skip the gym. I want to ignore the emails. I want to cancel the event and pretend the pressure isn't real. I want to stop pretending that high performing always feels like a choice. Because sometimes building the thing, leading the team, training for the stage, all of it can feel like a slow unraveling. Especially when your body's so tired, your inbox is so full, and your brain is so scattered, and you're just over it. And yet, here we are, still showing up, even when it's messy, even when no one's clapping and no one's there cheering you on, even when the mirror doesn't reflect the effort and the ROI isn't immediate. I never set out to become a bodybuilder. That wasn't the dream. But transformation rarely introduces itself politely. My journey to the competition stage began not with ambition, but with devastation, the emotional aftermath of 2020 that left me searching for solid ground with everything else when everything else had crumbled. The events of that year left me emotionally shattered, mentally drained, and physically depleted. Like the mythical phoenix bird tattoo on my back, a reminder of that season. I needed to rise from those ashes, to rebuild myself from the foundation up. Not just my emotional well-being, but my entire sense of self. In 2021, I was exhausted on every level. I had tried every fitness trend over there: CrossFit, F45, personal training, spin, Zumba, cardio classes, you name it. I was chasing results with no clear direction. I was strong, but spinning my wheels. I knew I was capable of more. I just didn't know where to start and how to do it. Something I've been reflecting on a lot, especially as I move between event floors, airports, and heavy gear, is what Dr. Peter Attia calls the centenarian decathlon. Deciding what physical activities you want to be able to do into your advanced years at 80, 90, or 100, then training specifically for them starting now. Do you want to be able to pick up your grandkids? Do you want to climb stairs without pain? Do you want to hike? Do you want to lift weights? Then train purposefully for those capabilities today. For those of us in the event industry, this hits even closer to home, and we face unique challenges that impact our well-being. The high stress, irregular schedules, constant pressure to perform can wreak havoc on our bodies and our minds. Long hours, standing, moving, lifting, leaning under pressure, feeling constantly drained, on edge, or just one step away from burning out. I've seen how chronic stress cracks up cortisol, leading to brain fog and mood swings and poor sleep and stubborn belly fat and weakened immune system. It's not just event stress, it's our bodies in constant fight or flight mode. If we don't intentionally train now to stay strong, mobile, and resilient, how will we keep doing what we love for the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years? And yet, despite wellness becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry, very few people actually know how to do wellness for themselves in a way that's sustainable, personal, and effective. The market is flooded with trends, programs, glossy promises, but not enough lived strategies. That disconnect is something that David Stevens tackles head on in his Return on Wellness show, which I have the privilege of producing, so I might be a little biased. His work addresses the core truth. We don't need more wellness products. We need better wellness practices. And for event professionals, especially, that starts with understanding how to take care of our bodies when everything about our jobs tells us to push through, stay on, and keep going. It is tempting as one onboards onto this new journey to focus on motivation alone. While motivation can ignite the spark, it's commitment, consistency, and courage, the 3 C's that keep the fire burning and drive lasting success. These principles form the backbone of the Fit4Events Framework that I trademarked and I created at the beginning of 2024, empowering event professionals to thrive, not just survive, by integrating fitness and well-being into their lives and their work. As Dr. Attia said many times in his articles, podcasts, and talks, we're gaining lifespan, but not health span. And that hits hard. Modern medicine is great at keeping us alive, but not necessarily well. The reality, most people spend their last decade in decline, losing mobility, strength, and independence. But it doesn't have to be that way if we start thinking and doing things differently now. Throughout my life, physical activity had always been my way of processing everything I was going through. As a teenager growing up in Romania, I had worked through emotional heartbreaks in the field under the summer sun. My body occupied while my heart and my mind reconciled the feelings and the emotions I didn't know what to do with. Decades later and thousands of miles away, I find myself instinctively seeking that same medicine, a physical challenge intense enough to match my internal turbulence. Then I noticed a friend's post on social media. Brittany had always struggled with her weight, something I never had to face with my naturally athletic build. But there she was, documenting her journey toward a bodybuilding competition after her last baby was born. Not just losing weight, but completely transforming her physique, rebuilding herself from the very cellular level up. She didn't place high in her competition, but that wasn't the point. That wasn't even what caught my attention. It was the change in her eyes, the confidence, the strength, the sense of personal power that radiated from her very photos. If she could do this, starting from a much harder place physically than I was in, well, maybe I could too. That moment changed everything for me. Something lit up in me, a recognition that perhaps this was the structure, the discipline, and the focus I needed to rebuild myself. Despite always being athletic and spending countless hours in the gym over the years, I had been operating without a real understanding of what I was doing. I jumped from machine to machine with no plan, no programming, no structure, no progressive overload. I have no concept of progressive overload. The balance between cardio and strength training, or the critical role of nutrition in body composition, no clue about it. I was like so many other women, working hard, but without the knowledge to transform that work into targeted results. When I first started to go into the gym consistently with this new purpose, again, I had no clue what I was doing. I had no coach at first, no plan, but I had grit. So I did what made sense to me at the time. I watched those who looked like they knew what they were doing. But I wasn't watching what they were doing as much as how they were doing it. The form, the control, the tempo, the rep range, the rest periods. Those are the things that actually move the needle, not just going through the motions, but mastering the details. I quickly learned that it's not your training plan that makes or breaks your result. It's your nutrition strategy. When I got serious about results, I sought the guidance of a personal trainer at the gym that I've started going to, focused primarily on building athletes for competitions. And under their coaching, I began learning the fundamentals of bodybuilding block by block. I knew I wasn't signing up for a 30-day quick fix plan. This was not going to be about shortcuts. It was about understanding the science of physical transformation and applying it with relentless consistency, day after day, month after month, year after year. At first, I didn't tell anyone about this new focus direction. This was mine, a private rebellion against the emotional chaos of 2020 that had nearly destroyed me, a reclaiming of control over the only domain that felt manageable, my physical self. In the gym, I found a place where effort correlated directly with results, where consistency trumped talent, where showing up mattered more than the starting point. After months of training, the changes in my body were starting to become impossible to ignore. One evening after the kids went to sleep, as I was prepping my meals for the next week, Zeke wandered into the kitchen and he asked, "Is this just about losing weight or is there something more?" Eyeing the precisely measured containers I was organizing for my food prep that week. I paused. The truth was, I had set my sights on a bodybuilding competition months earlier, but I haven't told a soul because I don't believe it myself yet that I could get to that level of stage lean, that I could actually do it. And posting it on social or speaking aloud felt like inviting judgment if I failed. I'm training for a bodybuilding show, the Washington State Olympic Natural, in September. This was 2022. I wish I could say Zeke understood what I was doing and supported me fully right away. That first prep was actually deeply lonely. He couldn't comprehend why I would want to voluntarily got on a stage in a skimpy bikini in front of a bunch of strangers and invite their judgment on the physique I worked so hard on, and why I would put myself through such rigorous restriction and exhaustion. He wasn't on my side, at least not yet. That would come much later once he embarked on his own fitness journey, started running, losing weight, and then signing up for marathons and eventually qualifying for the Boston Marathon in 2024 and 2025. In many ways, our fitness paths developed independently, just as our professional lives did, and only gradually did we learn to support one another in our own journeys. My daughter, she's 8 now, and on weekend, I take her to the gym with me, where she grabs her little pink 5-pound dumbbells and lifts beside me, beaming, asking if her muscles grew just as much as mine did. My son, 12, is not into lifting yet, but I know he will be one day. I do see the shifts. He drinks a protein shake every morning. He makes more balanced choices at meals and asks questions about how food fuels his body. These aren't some grand gestures, but they're the quiet wins, the ripple effects. My family isn't watching from the sidelines anymore. They're actually absorbing the rhythm. Even my closest friends, some of them on their own path with GLP-1s, are paying more attention to protein, to strength training, to their own health, often because I won't stop lovingly reminding them how important protein is, how important strength training is. And then there are the DMs, messages that I get from other women that I know, or many I don't even know, from the event community at large, telling me that seeing my journey, raw, public, relentless, gave them permission to begin their own. And that's exactly what support looks like for me now. Not loud cheering sections, but quiet shifts in those around me. And each one of them reminds me that I'm leaving an impact, the same way Brittany did way back then when she shared her bodybuilding transformational story on social media, and I started to believe that maybe, just maybe, I could do it too. Now, the deeper I got into prep, the more I realized the real transformation wasn't just physical. There was something happening under the surface that I hadn't anticipated. I thought I was cutting just calories and training harder, but what actually surfaced was something that I didn't expect. It was rage, not irritation, not discomfort, rage. Because hunger for me wasn't just part of the process, it was a trigger, it was traumatic. As a child, I knew what it felt like to go to bed hungry. I knew what it meant to portion out food and pretend I wasn't starving because there wasn't enough to go around. That kind of hunger embeds itself in the body. And when I started training at a competitive level, dropping calories, doubling cardio, tightening macros, it woke up all those old survival instincts. At first, I couldn't even articulate what I was going through to my prep coach. How do you explain that 1,000-calorie deficit doesn't just challenge your willpower? It feels like abandonment all over again. That your body is screaming, I've been here before, and we barely made it out. Do you not remember? I ended up having to take it to therapy, where I started unpacking it all. In the previous chapter that I read, I mentioned the book, The Body Keeps the Score, Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma, which became more than just a book title. It became a framework for understanding why my body was fighting me so hard. It wasn't resisting the prep, it was remembering the times it wasn't safe to be hungry, remembering the feelings of powerlessness. And that changed everything. I realized that self-discipline wasn't enough. And it wasn't just about pushing harder. It was about learning to listen, to respect my body's wisdom and my body's boundaries, to prep not just with macros and programming, but with compassion for the girl who once didn't get to choose when or how she ate. And something else shifted too. For the very first time, discipline became a bridge, not just to a stronger physique, but to emotional regulation. If I could track my food, stay consistent, push through physical discomfort, maybe I could start applying those same skills to the chaos in my heart and my mind. Maybe I could finally sit with my emotions, name them, and let them pass without being consumed by them. That's what real transformation looked like. Not the stage photos, not the muscles, but the quiet victory of being able to say, I feel this and I'm still here. For those unfamiliar with the life of a competitive bodybuilder in preparation mode, let me just give you a glimpse. For a person of my size and build, while bulking, muscle building season allows for around 2,000 to 2,500 calories daily with 170 to 200 grams of protein, cutting season is dramatically different. With training just as intense but cardio doubled, during that first prep, my macros plummeted to about 135 grams of protein, 40 grams of carbs, and 35 grams of fat. Roughly under 1,000 calories and some days even lower. That was starvation level intake while maintaining a punishing workout schedule. Looking back, that was rough. I can't believe I pushed through that. I know better now. I have a different prep coach. We're doing things differently. But lifting weights is as much a mind game as it is a physical one. Sure, progressive overload is the name of the game. Adding weight, refining form, increasing reps. But what rarely gets talked about is how much your mind has to get stronger before your body can follow. Before I even touch the bar for a new PR, I always tell myself, this is feather light. Because if my mind believes it, guess what? My body will follow. That's the difference between exercising and training. Exercising is movement. Training is commitment. It's showing up for the same lifts, pushing a little harder, and not backing down when it gets uncomfortable. It's mental and it's emotional. It's the discipline of choosing growth over comfort, again and again. Resilience for me looks like grit in silence, like showing up without needing applause, like staying in the burn until the lesson settles into my bones. Well, let's be honest. Some days are really, really hard. Some days I just want to skip it all. I want to cancel it. I want to pretend the pressure doesn't exist.
Before we continue, I want to give a shout out to the team at Fit4Events. We are not just an event planning and production agency. We are focused on integrating innovative AV solutions, AI strategies, and wellness-focused practices through our Fit4Events Framework. Whether you're planning live, virtual, or hybrid events, the team at Fit4Events is here to provide personalized planning, strategic design, and seamless technology management to ensure everything runs flawlessly. And now, we are offering AI-powered workshops to help you grow your business, build stronger teams, and elevate your events to the next level. If you want to learn more about how the team at Fit4Events can help make your event unforgettable, visit Fit4Events.com.
I had to grieve the version of womanhood I thought I was supposed to want. The version where fulfillment comes from letting go of career dreams after motherhood and finding joy in play dates and carpools and Pinterest perfect lunches. I love my children dearly, but I also love my ambition. I love my work. I love building things. I love leading and speaking and pushing boundaries and training and leaving impact wherever I go. And sometimes that means microwave chicken nuggets while I prep for a keynote or need to meet a new deadline. I've made peace with the fact that I will never be the perfect mother because honestly, I wasn't built for domestic serenity. I was built for something else. And while that comes with moments of burnout and motherhood guilt, it also comes with purpose. My ambition isn't a flaw to fix, I had to learn. It's a fire that I just need to learn how to manage. I don't seek perfect balance anymore. I seek integration between my drive and my tenderness, between motherhood and leadership, between loving my family and not abandoning myself in the process. Integration for me means letting the pieces touch. It means I can deadlift heavy in the morning and cry through a tough parenting moment that same afternoon. And neither cancels out one or the other. It means I will meal prep while helping with homework, take client calls while walking on the treadmill, and know when to power through and when to rest. It's not balance. There's no balance there. It's blending. A braid of motherhood, of business, of training, of love, and self-respect, woven imperfectly, but intentionally. So if you're mothering in all the ways it demands, raising children, building something of your own, holding space for others while trying not to lose yourself in the process, I want you to know it's not weakness to feel torn. It's proof that you care deeply. The guilt can be real, but so is your capacity. You can feed your kids frozen chicken nuggets and still feed them love. You can crave quiet and still chase your calling. This is resilience, not the tidy kind, but the kind forged in the middle of hunger, fatigue, ambition, and devotion. You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to keep doing it with heart. The barbell doesn't care about your broken heart. It's there to simply ask, are you present? Are you here? Can you show up for yourself at this moment? During those long training sessions, I had nowhere to hide from myself. No email to answers, no production problems to solve, no distraction from the raw truth of who I was and what I was feeling. The iron became my most honest mirror, reflecting not just my physical form, but my emotional state, my mental focus, my spiritual alignment. Through this journey, I became much more aware of my own internal emotional life, and I began to see emotions differently too. Dr. Jessica Garza, PhD, she describes emotions as a parade of floats. Each feeling, whether joy, grief, anger, or fear, passes by like a float. We can observe it, acknowledge it, we can even examine it closely, but we don't have to jump onto it and be carried away. This parade of emotions framework became a powerful tool both under the barbell and in my daily life, especially after the unraveling of 2020. It took an entire year of consistent training to reach a place where I felt ready to compete for the very first time. And even then, I was the rookiest of them all. My physique was developing nicely, balanced with muscles in the right places, but my posing, oh my gosh, my posing, which is just as important in bodybuilding competitions as conditioning and presentation, was embarrassingly stiff. I cringe now just thinking about it. It took 2 more years of almost daily posing practice to get to a place where my body was not walking plank of wood on hills, where my body wasn't a walking plank of wood on hills. I'm honestly not genetically gifted with flow and grace, nor do I have a small waist. I have the strong body shape of a solid woman who can deadlift twice her body weight, leg press 4 times that, and do dozens of push-ups and pull-ups without stopping. It's a strength crafted through hardship, growing up as a child in a very physical environment. That first competition was humbling from a presentation point of view, but ignited something in me when I stood on that stage, nearly naked, vulnerable, but stronger than I've ever been, and I didn't break. The woman who had felt so shattered was now literally standing in the spotlight, presenting the strength she had built day after day from those broken pieces. One other thing I've learned during this prep seasons is that progress is never linear. People tend to think that weight loss for an athlete is just eat clean, train hard, watch the scale drop. No. Yet even when you're serious about your training and you're doing everything right, lifting, posing, prepping, staying disciplined, progress can look very messy. The real story includes spikes and plateaus and drops and frustrating days and some encouraging days too. But underneath it all, it's that steady, relentless commitment. You don't get results by chasing perfect days. You get results by showing up over and over again, even when it feels like nothing is happening. And that's what bodybuilding taught me the most. And that applies to everything else in life. You're grinding day in and day out, building in the dark, and you don't see tangible results until many, many months or if not even years later. That takes incredible discipline and resilience and commitment. The invisible transformation that others admire is the result of 1,000 invisible choices made when no one else was watching. And that's exactly how bodybuilding works and how businesses are built, how mastery in any field is achieved. The thing that kept me steady during each bodybuilding prep season was the commitment to myself, with discipline being the byproduct of that. But not the flash kind, the kind that says, go when no one's watching and your legs are toast. The present, whether in a client call or on stage, people getting my full attention. And thirdly, resilience, the build over years kind, the kind that says, you've done harder things, keep going. And what this journey has taught me is worth its weight in gold. The discipline cultivated through years of consistent training translates directly to business discipline. The willingness to embrace discomfort in the gym builds resilience for professional challenges. The patience required during long building phases teaches strategic thinking and delayed gratification. No one tells you that ambition can get heavy, that building the thing, leading the team, training for the stage, all of it can feel like a slow unraveling, especially when you're so tired. And yet, it's still worth showing up. Even when it gets messy, even when no one's there clapping, even when the meter doesn't reflect the effort and the ROI isn't immediate. Leadership isn't loud. Sometimes it's just doing the hard things well and not making a show of it. In the gym and in business, it's rarely the flashiest move that leads to lasting results. It's the consistent reps done with purpose, the small tweaks that compound over time, the focus on how, not just what. These insights are the foundation of my Fit4Events Framework, an approach to resilience in our industry that acknowledges we're not just technical operators, but whole human beings whose strength comes from integration rather than compartmentalization. I didn't set out to find healing in the iron, but the barbell became my teacher anyway. It taught me how to hold grief without needing to rush through it, how to sit with disappointment without numbing it, how to let anger rise, name it, and still choose discipline instead of destruction. Before bodybuilding, I didn't know how to be with my emotions. I only knew how to outrun them with work or drown them in busyness. But prep gave me nowhere to hide. I couldn't buffer the hard days while burying myself in busy work and overcommitments. I had to face what came up: rage, grief, loneliness, insecurity, and find a way to keep going anyway. Slowly, those emotions began to shift. Rage gave way to clarity, grief softened into grace. I stopped reacting to everything with urgency and started responding with presence. What I built under the barbell wasn't just muscle, it was emotional scaffolding. The ability to stay centered when life got loud. The ability to feel something deeply, but not let it undo myself. The barbell didn't ask for perfection, it only asked for presence. It met me where I was, heartbroken, exhausted, and quietly determined. And it showed me that becoming isn't born from some big declarations, but from the smallest repeated acts of self respect. As I look in the mirror now, I don't just see a competitor. I see a woman who rose from her own ashes and shaped her life with her bare hands. This isn't about abs after 40 or trophies. It's about trust, the kind you earn with yourself when no one else is watching. And that is legacy. That is strength. And if you're somewhere in the middle of your own becoming, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, or something unnamed, I want you to know you're not behind. You're not broken. You're simply in it. And in it is where the real transformation happens. One rep at a time, one breath, one choice to keep going. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. The path will meet you there. But if I'm being honest, like really honest, maybe all this time, I've still been carrying the need to prove myself. Maybe even now, after all the structure and the consistency, I'm chasing worth, not from a judge's scorecard, but from myself. Like I still need to earn my place in this body, in this life. And maybe that's the shift that I'm learning to make. Because I've already earned my own respect. I've already become the woman the younger me would have looked at and whispered, she made it. Not because she was perfect, but because she didn't quit. Because she kept showing up to everything that tried to undo her. And maybe it's not about proving anymore. Maybe it's about honoring. Not, am I enough? But I already am. And that's the part that's still becoming. And that's the part I trust now to carry me forward. What broke me was gonna make me. And this was that chapter, Iron and Ashes. The chapter where the story doesn't wrap up, but where it settles in. Because healing didn't come all at once. It came through reps, through structure, through boundaries, through sweat, through saying no when I wanted to default to yes, through loving my body. There's this moment in the chapter where I talk about building the kind of strength you can carry others with, but not at the cost of dropping yourself. That's what this journey has become. And while the book isn't finished, and while I've obviously skipped to parts of the chapter, there's still pages to be written about reinvention, about everything the future still holds. This chapter felt like the right place to pause, to breathe, and to thank you for walking this road with me. If you've ever found salvation in structure, and if you've ever rebuilt yourself, whether in the studio or in the gym or in silence, then you already know we don't just survive the fire, we become it. So, that being said, this book isn't over. There's one more chapter that I'm still writing and it's unfolding. It's about the present moment, about what happens when you survive, when you rebuild, and then step into the future with clear eyes and sharp tools. It's about AI, not just the technology, but the transformation that it's forcing its way into our work, into our identities, into our leadership, into our personal and professional lives. I've been building that chapter quietly behind the scenes, and I'll be sharing it soon. So if you want to hear more about that, stay close, subscribe. The story's not done yet. And then, if this chapter stirs something in you, I want to hear it. What's your iron and ashes chapter? What did you survive that made you? What have you rebuilt that maybe no one else saw? Where did you find discipline when all you had was dust? Share with me, tag the podcast, DM me, or just write it down for yourself. Because sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones we finally choose to tell, even if only to ourselves sometimes. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible personal journey. Thank you for letting this podcast evolve from conversation to confession to creation. And the next chapter, well, I'm writing it now as we speak. And I hope you'll still be here, headphones in, heart open, when I'm ready to read it to you. But until then, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I share snippets of all the other chapters. Those were just 4 chapters that I went deeper into, but there's 15 chapters right now written with one more to go. And if that's something that you would want to connect with further, I will make sure to have all the right links in the episode notes. Do check that out. Thank you for 6 years of Events Demystified podcast. We will resume our regular programming in August. And until then, stay grounded, stay relentless, and stay human.
Thank you for listening to the Events Demystified podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with other professionals like yourself. If you're interested in learning more about TreeFan events, including our future AI education talks and workshops, or to see how we can support your next event, book a free 20-minute consultation through the link in the episode notes. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and social media for updates on future episodes, industry insights, AI news and tips, and more. And if you have any topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to reach out.